It was given to me.
It was given to you, and you told me this symbol had some significance for you.
Yes, I guess my own situation involves my questioning my marriage relationship and the struggles that go along with that.
Yes.
And I guess my greatest pain in all that is that I not only must explain it to myself, but the people who are involved, my children too. And it's been very hard to even let them know what's going on.
Yes, yes, I can imagine. How many children do you have?
I have 2 sons, 5 and 7. And one day this book was on the table, and my little boy, my youngest, came up to me and said, "What does this mean? The black and the yellow?"
Yes.
He said, "It looks like a sun." And I said, "Well, it does look like a sun." But he said, "Why is this?" And I said, "Well," they always ask difficult questions. And I said that the sun was like being happy.
Yes.
And that the black was that not happy. That there's sometimes happiness and sometimes sadness in living.
Yes.
And he thought about that, and he said that the sun was like, this is how kids are most of the time, he said. And he said, this is how grown-ups are most of the time. And I said, is that how I have seemed to you? Have I seemed sad?
Yes.
And he said that, yes, I had.
Yes.
And
well, it's understandable if you have a
so he knew much of what was going
yes,
on without me ever
yes,
saying.
he felt it.
And so it gave me the opportunity to say to him that, yes, I had been sad, and why I had been
and
sad.
why, yes.
And
So you showed him that each light has its shadow also.
yes, and that we wouldn't always be here. We wouldn't always be sad.
Yes, yes, because each shadow must come from some light.
I will tell him that. And that started an opportunity to talk about with him. I guess my struggle now is not the same as it was a couple of months ago when Dr. Watkins suggested that I come and talk about
yes.
my struggles, and I feel more resolved at this point.
At that time, your difficulty was to tell your children that you will become divorced?
Yes, and at that time I hadn't even felt like that was the decision I wanted to make.
You did not want to become divorced?
I wasn't sure.
Yes.
I thought I did, and I feel more sure of that now, that it is indeed what I want.
Yes.
My struggle now is dealing with what happens because of that.
With the consequences?
Yes.
Yes. What made you more sure between the time before and now, more sure that the divorce, to becoming divorced is a right decision? To get divorced is a right decision?
I've gone back and forth many times. And,
yes.
when I am in the area of resolve, or not resolve, when I'm in the area of reconciling with my husband, it is not, it's not right inside, and I feel that this is not what I want, way down deep. And when I'm on the side of realizing that we would part, that's what I want. And
so you feel better then?
yes.
So your inner feelings were how you measured it?
Yes. I tried to be very logical and think about the economics. How would I support myself? My major concern was my children, and whether or not that was best for them. But it seemed that those were side issues and not dealing with the relationship, which I feel has not only degenerated but was never very full. And it's been very painful to me to have to live in a married state and not really be married in my heart.
Have you thought over if you could change something in this situation at these earlier times? Did you think you could change and then you would feel more married in your heart? Or did you think your husband had to change, otherwise you could not feel more married to him in your heart?
I think it has to do with that I have never chosen him. I did because I married him, but it was not the choice I wanted to make then, and it has never been. I waited thinking that it would come, thinking that I would grow into loving him.
Yes.
And stayed with it this long. We've been married for 13 years. And I stayed with it this long because I felt it was the right thing to do, that I should, that I understand that love isn't always just feeling, and that I care very much for him as a person, and we have done many things together, and we've had children together, and but there is such a gap. The pain is that I have to go outside my marriage to find an emotional rapport with people. That I am with him, but I'm alone when I'm with him. And in my loneliness, I go out and find other people to talk with. As I share myself to him, I don't get anything back. It's I feel so one-sided that I don't have anything come back.
Yes. Do you think this one-sidedness had something to do with the fact that you had not made this decision for him?
Yes, I'm not committed to him.
Yes. Maybe he felt it somehow, that you did not really say yes to him in the innermost of your heart. He felt it somehow, and therefore he reacted in a way that you felt lonely when you were with him.
I have wished that I could get that feeling I needed because of all the outside concerns. If I could pull it out of the sky and stick it in here, I would do it.
Yes, I understand.
But I can't.
Yes.
It's not there. I can't make it happen. And I'm very tired of doing that.
Do you think your husband had made such a decision for you when he lived with you?
I think he has. He says that he loves me. But I don't feel understood by him. And so I don't feel loved by him. I think he wants to love me, but I'm not sure whether he wants a marriage or a relationship with me. With me, not just any person.
Well, I would like to go a little higher than the level of feelings. That's why I ask for these decisions. Feelings or emotions that are on the psychological level, and we have not the freedom about them. So we are not free to choose what we feel. So if you don't feel happy or if you don't feel love or something like that, you are not free to let it happen. A feeling happens or it does not happen.
Yeah, I feel I have no control there. It's,
Well,
yeah,
not
it's,
about feelings. Then we make a step higher on the level, what we in logotherapy, as you know, call this noetic level or spiritual level. And there, at this level, we are rather independent of feelings. It's a level where we make decisions. So I don't think it's good to mix these both levels up now. Maybe for you it's a help to see what's going on the level of feeling, and at the same time what's going on a higher level within you, within yourself. So at the level of feelings you have described now, you had the difficulty to love your husband, when I understand it right.
Mm-hmm.
And on the level of spiritual decisions, you have not decided for him during this marriage. Is that true?
That's true.
So your feelings and your decisions were parallel going? And how do you think it happened with your husband and on his different levels? Had you some, do you think he felt some love for you?
Yes.
And on the higher level, do you think he really decided for you?
I think so. Mm-hmm. And I have felt guilty that I can't return that.
Yes. Well, there is no guilt about feelings, because we are not free enough to choose them. So on the level of emotions and feelings, you have no guilt at all that you could not feel the same for him as he felt for you. You see, we are not free to choose a special feeling. If I now feel maybe some anxiety, so I feel it. I cannot switch it off. Or if I feel tired now, or if I feel hungry, then I cannot say, well, I don't want to feel hungry. When I am hungry, I'm hungry. The other thing is in the next higher level, that I can make a decision. I can make the decision to sit here in spite of I may be tired or have anxiety, or maybe I'm hungry. I can make the decision to stay here in spite of, or I can make the decision to go away because I'm hungry, because I'm tired.
I feel that that's what I have done in the past, that I stayed married though I didn't feel anything.
But that would mean that you made in the past a decision to stay married. Yes. But you told me you made a decision somehow against your husband.
It's been difficult to be in that situation of no feeling, but having decided to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can imagine.
I feel I want to change my mind, that I don't want that situation anymore of staying without feeling.
But then the truth is that you, up to a certain point of life, you have decided for your husband.
In spite of no feeling.
Yes. And after a certain point, you have renewed your decision and tried to bring in parallel to your feelings now.
Yes. So it's a change. It's that. And since I can't change the feeling part, I have changed.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yes.
The upper dimension part, the choice about those feelings.
So, do you feel guilty in this higher level that you made this new decision?
No, I feel responsible for how that affects others.
Yes.
My children.
Yes.
And I'm not sure which I like better. Whether I like that feeling of my feelings and my decision parallel each other, or would I rather be back here where they weren't?
Yes.
Here, my children were, I felt, in the best situation.
Yes.
Here, they may not be.
Yes.
And
I understand.
I'm responsible for that.
Yes. You in earlier you spoke something about guilty feelings, and I said don't feel guilty in this level of feelings. That's not that you aren't free enough. So had you in earlier times guilty feelings on the higher level of your decision, or where did they come from?
In some respects, I felt guilty here. Do you understand what I mean by
yes,
here?
I understand.
Okay.
But I think that was a wrong guilty feeling. Wrong. Because you did what you could for keeping this marriage. In spite of not loving your husband as much as he might have wanted.
I feel that I did the best of what I thought was best then, and I don't feel guilty about the past now.
Yes. But also in the past, it was some wrong guilty feeling, I think. I think you have seen some small little part, not quite as it was in truth. You saw that you did not decide for him, but we now have found out that before you decided to become divorced and made a new decision. Before you decided for your husband, but you did not feel for him much. So.
And I'm not happy there.
Yes, it's on the feeling level.
I feel okay about leaving him. It's just the problems that surround that I...
Yes.
And am I to make a decision because of the surrounding problems that it creates? Or am I to make a decision about the core of the issue?
So your conflict is, on the one side, you can paralyze feeling and decisions only by becoming divorced.
Yes.
On the other side is that the divorce depends on your new decision. Is it right? Your new decision.
Yes.
And that the consequence is not very... Let us say the consequences may be that children do not feel as well as before, having lost their father, or not lost, but he is out of the family. And how will your husband feel?
Well, we're not sure yet where, with whom the children will be. There are no issues of, I want them to be with me. He wants them to be with him.
Yes.
And I respect his right to be with them, and the right of the children to experience being with their father. I guess another fly in the ointment is, another issue of this is, I want very much to finish my education. And this is very recent for me to go to school, and I feel a conflict in trying to finish my education.
Yes.
And I will have to work to support myself now.
Yes.
And having time for children, too.
Yes.
And we have talked about making a decision that they would be with him while I finish my education. But I don't want that. And
well, with this decision again, you would have a conflict between the feeling level, where you would like to have the children, and the decision to give them to the father to finish your school. Then again, it would not be parallel.
right.
So then you would do this divorce to become these parallel levels, and in the end effect,
I
you
wouldn't get it
again
anyway.
will not. Well,
It is so painful to not have those two come together. And I want that so badly. And yet I don't feel like I can stay married. It's difficult to be together. I don't feel like I will ever be sexually attracted to him anymore, and I don't think I ever was. I don't feel like I can stay there. I feel like it's already, as I've been honest about it and brought it on the surface, I don't think we can go backwards now and say we'll continue on the way we were doing this.
well, you talk a lot about feelings. You see, I am a foreign person to you, so I don't know anything about you. Just I notice it. So nearly every sentence starts, I feel bad, and I feel this, and I feel. So I think you have a strong attention on this level of feelings.
It's hard not to pay attention to it when it hurts.
Well,
when it is not.
yes. But there is the other, which you also mentioned, with this responsibility for the consequences of what you do. And that's a step higher. You mentioned...
And I have done that. But it's like I'm tired of doing that. That I feel like I can only do it so long. That I want the good feelings too. Not all the time. It's just been very long without the good feelings.
Good feelings on the level of responsibility, you mean?
There I feel good. I feel like I have always done what I thought was best.
Yes, I'm sure that you have done this. But now it becomes difficult, I think. Because now with this new decision, if it's true that your husband loves you, as you told me, then he will suffer from your new decision.
I think so.
And the two boys will suffer from being sometimes with the father and sometimes with the mother, and not with both and such things. So you also have to bear this, the fact that you find a new decision, and on this decision is depending the bad feelings of 3 other persons.
So I can choose for feelings or responsibility. And in the past I've chosen for the responsibility.
Was there looked for some way to find a new form of living together in the family, also with your husband, although your feelings were not strong enough for him? Was there tried?
I guess I should explain his side too, and that as I expressed that there were no feelings.
I mean, was there done some trial to help you within the marriage, to help you both to live together in a new way. Maybe some counseling or some other person from outside who could have made suggestions.
I could do that if I thought that someday the feelings would match the choice of commitment. But they haven't in 13 years. And I feel very skeptical that they will ever reach this level. And
well, that's not what I mean. I mean the way of living together. All the family, father and mother and children, the family as a unit. So in each family there are some points which are difficult between some members. And they remain difficult, but one can try to give helps and ideas of new behavior and to the members of the family, so that the unit will be a little easier to live in this unit for all. So my question is only if it was tried to change something within the family before one breaks the family, to change something.
I guess that I couldn't end it all without having done that and feel that I had acted responsibly. I would have to carry that I didn't wait and try and do that first. And I just feel like I have taken it this far. I have gained so much ground in just simply expressing how I felt about the entire relationship, that it's sort of like losing ground to go back again. And will I ever face it again if it is still not satisfactory? And
so could you imagine that you just separate for a time, so you have the possibility to clarify your thoughts and your feelings, but not only the feelings, also your responsibility and such things, to clarify, just separate.
That is going to happen very naturally. My husband just got another job about 200 miles from where we live. And in 2 weeks he will go there and begin to work. So it will be a very natural separation.
So
anyway,
maybe you and your husband could fix some date of as long as separation should be as a trial now, a date. For example, say we separate now 2 months or 6 months or up to Christmas time, and then we meet again and we think it over again, and we think over. I think there are not many possibilities. So one possibility is just to make what you want. You get divorced and go through all the consequences.
I guess it's my nature to once I look at something, to take care of it, finish it now, today, and
well, the separation will be an interim time. And maybe after this time of separation, you also could both, your husband and you, could make a new trial, guided by some help, some family counseling help or something like that, and not go back to the old forms, ways of life, and the old which you have left, but maybe to find new ways together. That also could be a decision after the separation.
I recognize that I've been impatient, and I want to settle it now and be done with it.
It would prevent you that you do it now quite as you want, and in the end effect, you again have other feelings than on the decision level, and it again is not paralyzed.
That was helpful to see that I was trying to alleviate this by doing this, but actually the end result would be this, where my responsibility feelings would, or my responsibility choices would not, I may feel good about not having to deal with my husband anymore, but would feel badly inside that I had caused suffering of my children.
Yes, there's a danger that in earlier times, I think you had irrational guilt feelings, irrational, because you really did what you could. You made a decision for the family to stay together, and in spite of you didn't love your husband as much as would be best. So on the level where you could decide, you did your best, so there was no reason for guilty feelings. But the danger is that now, after this divorce, which is your decision, your new decision, that after the divorce you see that it does not come out very well for all people who are involved, especially for your children. And this will be the consequence, that the children suffer somehow from it. So maybe after this new decision you will have some true guilty feelings. You understand what I mean? Earlier times they were wrong, but the danger is that they could turn into real guilty feelings, and then you again feel unhappy.
And maybe no chance then for, now I have the chance through a separation to look again.
Yes, then it is very difficult.
Then it will be
you
done.
have,
And,
yes, and then you have, as you told me, you have different responsibilities, which I'm not sure how you can answer them all. To earn the money for you, and to finish your studying, and to care for the children, and so that's very difficult. Very difficult. So maybe you come into conflicts again, and therefore it could be a help for you to have a waiting time to just be for yourself and with your children, and to think it over a little bit more.
It's hard for me to wait.
How is your contact with your husband now? I mean, is there some hate involved, or
No.
no?
But I feel like it's growing towards that I so resent having to act lovingly when I don't feel lovingly, that I don't like to be around him, and that I feel like I'm growing to hate this person, and I don't want to do that. I would rather end it than to grow to hate someone.
How do you contact other people, your neighbors and so, which you don't love? How do you contact them?
I don't understand. How do I contact them?
Well, You don't love everybody with whom you have to speak and to say hello and to have contacts to other people in the world. And you don't love them all, I think.
It's okay because I don't have to. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not expected to.
Yes.
I feel like I am expected to in my marriage, and
Well,
and
you
I
are
can't
not
give
expected.
it. I'm not.
Yes, that's the reason for your irrational guilt feelings.
I think my husband expects it of me, though.
Well, that could be one of the things to speak with you both when there were a counselor to try to help you both, because I think there's some wrong idea going with you. You're not responsible for your love feelings, and there's no must to love somebody. But on the other way, when you contact other people, neighbors, for example, or maybe me now, so we have you don't love me, but I hope you don't hate me. So just we have a contact that is like human beings. They are polite to each other and they have some esteem. Is it a good word? Esteem for the other.
Respect.
Respect for the other, and that's enough for our contact. You see, I
feel that I have lost respect for my husband, and that's in the way. We can't even no longer meet as strangers and accept each other. There's much negative feeling already.
You should try to return to that. To be as respectfully to him as you are to some neighbor or some other person.
Maybe that will be easier as we're apart for a while.
Yes. And that's something that is expected from you. Not to love him, but to behave like a human being has to behave to other human beings. You also can expect it from him. It's not only expected from you, but I think it's the most important thing also for your children, to show that father and mother still have some respect for each other and can speak with each other like normal people. And you see what I mean?
Yes, I understand what you mean. And in my mind, I think of when we do that, when we speak to each other civilly or as with respect.
Yes.
He seems to make the assumption that I love him then. And while I'm respecting him, I am not loving him, but he thinks that I am and then expects me to act as though I do.
Well, it doesn't matter for you what he thinks. So for you only matters what goes out from you. And it's important that respect and honesty and such things go out from you towards him too, as to all other people in the world. So then you will not feel guilty, and then you have no reason to feel guilty. You needn't love him. You cannot love him anyway. That's okay. Nobody will expect something that you cannot give, but you can act respectfully and well, as one should.
And I've wanted to do that. I've wanted to treat him with respect.
Yes, yes.
Feel badly, feel guilty when I have not. Feel as though I've acted irresponsibly because I don't. The way I deal with that then is to not interact with him at all. Since I can't feel loving, then I don't interact at all. I don't since I don't feel loving,
yes.
I choose not to communicate with him at all.
But why? We also
know.
communicate and
Yeah, I see that.
yes. So you could try to do this. When you say in 2 weeks he moves away, so you have 2 weeks to try to return to a quite normal level of human encounter. I think it would be a great achievement for you to do this, because it's also a decision in the higher level, not just try not to be the slave of your feelings. The slave of your feelings. When they demand you to hate, then you go and hate. When they force you to love, you go to... Just don't be the slave of feelings. Feelings are a wonderful thing, but they must not dominate a human being. So you are stronger than even your feelings.
They're pretty strong. Yeah, that feeling of not having had the love feelings for my husband.
That's not your fault. That's not your fault.
And that makes me feel better, because I also had feelings for people in a positive, for men whom I have loved, and I also felt guilty about that.
Well, never feel guilty about that. It may happen that even I fall into love of some other man, but you see, that's a psychological level. And in the noetic level, I decide to see this man again or not to see him again, because it's dangerous for my feelings, and to stay with my husband in spite of this love for another, or not to stay. So in a level higher, I decide how many power my feelings have to direct my life and to direct myself. And that's important. So you see, the feelings are not the most important things, but your decisions, your responsible decisions.
Are they? Are they the most important? The responsible decisions?
Yes.
Feelings seem very important right now.
Yes.
And I'm hungry for good feelings, for...
well, they will come out from responsible decisions.
Was not my past responsible decision?
I think there was something in the past in we are living together that was not the right way. I'm not sure now what it was, because we did not speak a lot about the past. But I think if there would be a family counselor with you both, he will find out what it was.
We have talked about some of those things.
To somebody?
With each other, and to someone too.
And to someone too.
Yeah, we did see a marriage counselor for a little while. But I think I let my impatient feelings just say, I don't care about that. That I don't want to. That I don't want to make decisions. I want to feel. I want to. I'm tired of simply operating on the decision level. But
yes, the decision level, there is also some emotion involved. Not only the brain, not only the intellect. Intellect? Do you say this? But also a piece of the heart is involved with decisions. Because if you say yes to somebody or to some work or whatever, then it's also some sort of love, but another form maybe of love. So when you decide to stay in spite of not loving a man, then there is another form of love involved too. To say yes to somebody, or to your children, or to even to finish a studying or something. It's decision means to say yes to something. And this saying yes means also some form of love.
So in that sense, I have loved him.
In a great sense, in a special sense, you have loved him, I think, too.
Maybe not on the feeling level, but
yes.
on the decision level.
Yes.
I've really
yes.
loved him because
Yes. Therefore, it was a nonsense to feel guilty. You could have been proud of it. And I think there was a possibility to find a way of living together for you both, where you could have stood it through. Maybe a counselor also should work with your husband, that he does not expect too much love from you and does not expect, but that your husband sees what it means, that as long as you said yes to him, what it means for you, and that he would be happy about this.
My husband and I talked about this too.
Yes.
And I said that I was so concerned about all the surrounding issues of the suffering of the kids. And I said that I would choose to stay and wait, in spite of the fact that I didn't really want to. But he said that that wasn't enough for him, that he didn't want to stay, so he was making a decision at that point too. That he didn't want to stay for just for kids.
Yes.
Or and I couldn't offer
That is
anymore.
an important point. At that point, the session should continue with your husband now, because I think when he lowers down his demands on you and just would be happy that you still could decide for him enough, without expecting anything else. Just being happy is not the right word. Just appreciate it. That you do this, and nothing demand else. In that case, I think it would be easier for you to do this decision.
It makes sense, because before, when we talked about leaving, and that I would leave, and he would finally say that, okay, if you need to do that, I felt released, and then I felt drawn to him when he gave me permission to let me go.
Yes.
But then when he takes that from me and insists that I stay, I feel
There's a paradoxical effect. As long as he wants his love, you cannot give this love. In the moment he would say, no, I know my wife, she cannot love me, and I accept this. It's a fact, and she's not guilty for it. It's just a fact, because nobody is free to choose his feelings.
Then I don't mind being around him, because I don't feel like it's demanded of me that I love
exactly.
him.
And in the moment he could appreciate and say, but in spite of not loving me, she has decided to be my partner. So I appreciate it very much. It's a sacrifice from her to me,
I think
and to the family.
At this point, he hurts very much that I don't love him, that I don't feel.
Well, one should try to help him to find this attitude. And so when he changes his attitude, and you would change your attitude a little bit, then I think there would be hope for this family.
I would like to explore that last hope, then, if there is.
Maybe now at this point, there have happened such a lot of negative things that it's a good thing to separate for some time, just to forget a little about these negative things. And the most important thing now is to return to a normally respectful conversation and communication, and nothing else.
His feelings of our separating were that he said, if we separate, we will not get back together. That he didn't feel that if we separate, there's no opportunities for us to communicate, and that it will further degenerate, will further split apart, and that he feels that with separation.
But you could correct him and say, for me, still there is some opportunity. So let us look what comes. Fix a date which you want, 1st of November or something, and then say we will come together again, and we both have new experiences from this time of separation. So let us then talk it over again.
I feel hopeful. I feel better that there is something that I can yet try and do. That I didn't feel good about saying that there is no hope for this. It's all over. Even though I felt like I wanted that very much, to be done with it.
Yes. It's nice that you said you feel better. Then our session had some meaning.
Yes, it did.
And I wish you the best.
Thank you.
You both for the future. And you all four the best.
Thank you very much.